That's funny. No, but is that why you got a problem with pastors? Is that why you be beefing with pastors? You disagree with their strategies? Is that why?
He said I have a problem with pastors. Man, hold up.
Something, yeah, says something. Something ain't right. Something ain't right. I said something, yeah, said something. Something ain't right. Something ain't right. What?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Something Ain't Right podcast. I'm your host, Tre9, and I got with me my awesome co-host, Whiteout and Jessica. And
Hey,
we are excited about this episode because it's episode 2. And before we dive in, because we don't like to have a lot of fluff in the beginning, we like to get right on into stuff. We don't have a lot of time nowadays anyway. So what we want to get right into is the awesome time that I just recently had. Do y'all want to know?
Where? Yes,
Where'd
come
you
on.
go that
Been
we didn't
waiting to
go?
find out.
Well, I brought this lovely cup just to kind of give you a taste of it. This is the Ark Encounter cup from the actual Ark that Noah rode in and built. Yes.
No.
Wow.
Yes.
What?
It is. I bought this on Noah's Ark, the real Ark.
What? Is his family still on the boat? Are they the ones running it?
Actually, they were. It was
man.
wax figures.
Oh, wow.
So-
That's cool.
No, it wasn't the actual Ark, but it was a replica that was built to the actual size of the Ark, and it's in Williamstown, Kentucky. I think
Oh,
is how you say it.
nice. Wow.
And we got a picture right here. Look how big that thing is. So we went inside, toured it. It took about 2 hours. It's got like 4 levels, 3 of which you get to tour. You get to see everything from, evolution and explanation of that, the Ice Age, dinosaurs. It just
There was dinosaurs in the Ark?
yes, in the cages. Noah packed dinosaurs according to
Is this
the
in the
Ark
Bible?
Encounter.
We're gonna have to talk to Noah.
Creatures.
Is this in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Bible?
I mean, they've done an extensive amount of research, and they've determined that dinosaurs were on the Ark.
Wow.
We need to invite that guy on the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. I'm
That
sure.
would be cool.
I'm sure they've
Ken
done their
Ham, right?
work.
Ken Ham.
So anyway.
So as I look at that picture of you at Noah's Ark,
Uh-huh.
I got a question. Because, last week you want to put me in the hot seat and point me out. So I have a question about you.
We all get to be in the hot seat. huh?
Yeah. So now it's your turn.
Come on.
So looking at that picture, I see that there's a woman in the picture.
Okay. Yeah, my girl Rolana. What's up,
Shout
Rolana?
out to Rolana.
Yeah.
So my question is that, and I'm sure a lot of people have asked, or it's been like questions have been asked, where's your wife at when you're on these ministry trips? And we don't see her a lot at events and things like that.
True.
Where's she at?
That's a good question.
True.
actually.
You know what's crazy is when I got married in to my first wife, 1995.
First wife.
Yes, I had a
Wow.
first wife.
Something
Hey,
ain't right.
Yeah, when I got married to my first wife, I was just starting to rap. And so going to shows together was a big deal, right? 14 years of marriage, that kind of faded. Long story short, my first wife committed adultery, ended the marriage, said she didn't want to follow God and do what I do. And within a short period of 6 months, I met Amanda and got engaged in 3 months and got married in 6 months.
Wow.
That was pretty hard to swallow for my.
That was like
My-
within a year, right? Everything changed.
For who
Yeah.
was it hard?
It was hard for my pastor at the time and my board of directors for Eyes on Me.
So you
Really
already had
struggled
the
as well.
ministry at the time.
I already
when you
had
met
Eyes
him.
on Me because it
Okay.
started in 2008. I divorced in 2010. I remarried in 2010.
That's permissible, right? Because of the situation.
Yeah,
Biblically,
yeah,
right?
I would have it no
Biblically.
other way. And just for the record, we did discuss reconciliation, but it just wasn't something that she wanted to move in this direction. The direction that I follow Christ, and of course, any woman that is married to a Christian man is going to have to accept that he's going to follow Christ and not turn from Christ. And that just wasn't something that she was willing to do. And so I think God knew what he was doing, because Amanda was ready to ride with me all the way. Amanda was, I love God, been from the, I mean, that wasn't proper English, came from the streets, you know, so dope, pimped out women, you know, ran the fast life, was involved in stripping, was, you know, all this crazy stuff, drug addict, you know, alcoholic addiction. I mean, all this crazy stuff, and God put her with me for a purpose.
Yeah.
It's just that early on in our marriage, she began to have back and neck problems. And so she was working at a job when we got married, and we pulled her from the job thinking maybe it's because you're sitting a lot. Maybe it's, you know, because you're sitting at a desk all the time. You need to come in full-time ministry with me. Well, that didn't solve the problem. And little by little, my wife could no longer go to the gym, exercise, things like that. She wanted to have surgeries. That was recommended, that she have surgeries on her lower spine and her neck. So 7 surgeries later, I think that's what it is now. It's just been hell on earth for her when it comes to health, you know. So because of what I went through with her, I understand chronic pain. You don't know when you step out that door if you're going to start hurting because you chose to go somewhere and hang out with a bunch of people. And in ministry, it's very stressful because people will bring their burdens to you.
Yeah.
Instead of Jesus, they will bring them to you. And I carry a lot of that, but she couldn't handle that. It's just way too much. So she sticks to a few that will come, you know, either stay in our house, people that have lived with us, or people that know her and had a chance to have contact with her. That's kind of her ministry, is just the few that she can handle versus the masses like me being out here. My wife is not jealous. She's not a jealous person. She doesn't have a jealous bone in her.
She does.
Yeah, I mean, I hang with Jessica, I hang with Rolanda, I hang with Paula, I hang with, you know, there's a core group of women in my life that are soldiers for the Lord, that are about that life, you know. They aren't about no riffraff, let's say, just call it that. They're about the Lord's work. And they can tell you I've never, ever thought about doing anything, winking, flirting, going out and partying on any type of wild level with them. It's all kingdom business. But Jesus had women in his ministry that traveled with him harder than the men, all the way to the cross. Matter of fact, showed up to his grave even though it was guarded.
Before the men did.
Before the men did. So like women are pretty hardcore. And so when I realized that Jesus had women in his ministry the whole time, you just don't see the story about them. You hear about the 12 disciples. Yeah. But women were there. And if you watch The Chosen, you'll see them. Although, you know,
that's another
The Chosen
episode.
is something else. Yeah, but anyway, I think it's okay to have women, and I thank God this isn't for every man.
Yeah.
Because every man might not have a wife that's
understanding.
A lot of women are jealous.
Yeah.
From her culture.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
you want to talk about it?
Unacceptable. I wouldn't be okay with that. So that's why I always give Amanda props, because she is so sweet. She has the biggest heart. Yeah. And she truly trusts me, but as a friend, but she trusts you more. Yeah. And that's what's the most important thing, is that she trusts you. Yeah, and
I've never given her a reason to doubt that trust. So that's why you don't see my wife with me, because of her health issues. She doesn't know if she's going to get out here and be hurting, and then she don't want to be the party pooper. Yeah. And people that know she has chronic pain, it's like, imagine you're hurting and people are like, how you doing? How you feeling? And you got to keep saying, the same thing. I feel like crap. I feel like shooting myself, you know?
So has she got better with the surgeries, or is that just kind of been like, it didn't come out how we expected?
It was getting worse. With the last 4 years, she had actually got stem cells, and over the last 4 years, she improved. Stem cells they give you about a 4-year run.
Oh, okay.
And now, you know, a lot of the surgeries and the different, you know, bone grafts and things they do. I'm not a doctor, so I won't get into details. But a lot of that stuff that she's experienced is coming back harder than ever. So right now, she has to regulate the pain. So we're looking into, you know, what can be done to fix her. But yeah, she's in a lot of pain right now.
Well, because I was going to ask too, but kind of on that tip, because, you know, my wife the past year, she's had kind of sicknesses too, chronic ever since COVID, really. Yeah. And then now with this car wreck we got in, the pregnancy and all this, and how, I mean, I'm guessing you say your wife trusts you, but you also, do you have like boundaries or like guidelines?
Yeah.
Because like you said, Latinas are a little bit more jealous. Like my wife lets me go on mission trips, but she'd be like, you better not be talking too much to them ladies. And you better show them you better not take off your ring off your finger. Like she trusts me, but she still kind of, you know, lets me know like, hey, be careful out there, you know. Like,
And you know, I jam my finger playing basketball.
You got papers, you know. That's what she tells me.
And I barely got I barely got my ring off of my finger because I had jammed it and it was so tight.
Man, something ain't right, Trey.
And I haven't.
That doesn't sound like an excuse.
I feel you. I
Ain't
feel
right.
you. I feel you. And so I don't have it. And you know, she's, you know, the ring is significant. I realize that, but I have to get it resized in order to put it on. But boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Boundaries. I mean, I think every man needs to establish some boundaries based upon where he's at. I mean, I'm not going on trips with females, just me. You know, I'm not doing stuff like that. But if Jessica needed a ride home right now, I wouldn't have no problem giving her a ride home. I'm not worried about Jessica, and she ain't worried about me.
Yeah.
I mean, we love one another. We're brothers and sisters in Christ, and we know the boundaries. We respect the boundaries. Does that mean that there's some other guys out there that couldn't take her home? Yes.
And be married.
And be married.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, if your wife says, you better not take that girl, then you probably don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But as for me and my wife, we have a very good understanding, a lot of trust, and we can do that, you know? So I think it's left to your home to decide.
Just be wise and know your boundaries.
Ain't safe. You
Wise, respect your wife.
Yeah.
For sure. And then you may think you know your boundaries. I don't want to give people a pass to be like, oh, well, Trey could do it, I could do it. My wife and I, our boundaries are probably a lot looser than most people, and you need to know yours for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know how you're talking about all that happened in your first marriage, but you were already at Eyes on Me, your board of directors and everything. I'm not sure if did you make it like public to people at the time, and how do you feel about leaders that they get divorced without the adultery? They just get divorced because they feel like it, and they keep it a secret. And next thing you know, they're on stage, but they have a whole different wife, whole different family.
That's a hard one, man. I mean, because I know people like that right now.
Did you make it? Did you have to say it publicly, or did you try to cover it up and hide it?
It was very public because I had pictures with my wife at the time, and then all of a sudden you're not with her, and then you're with another woman.
Yeah.
So I had to go public and explain what happened, you know, without, of course, bad-mouthing her, but making it clear that, hey, this is the transition. But I still would not have divorced without biblical grounds, and some men do.
Yeah.
And I can't, unless I'm their Paul in their life, unless they're a part of this ministry, it's very hard for me to go and confront them. So they got to live with their public scrutiny. And I just say, if you're going to be a leader, if you're going to be on the mic in any kind of way, if you're going to be public, don't start tripping when people come at you because you look a little suspect. Like, you better eat that, take that. If I tripped out and did something and people start, that Tre9, I deserve it. Because you did it. Take what comes with it. Don't be like, well, nobody can judge me. We all fall short. No, you need to take it like a man. Because when you was on the mic, preaching, rapping, whatever you were doing, representing Christ the way you were doing, people took you at face value. And they thought you were that man who was faithful, or that woman who was faithful, or that person who wouldn't cheat, steal, whatever it is, the big sin that overcame you that caused you to divorce. And so I just think we as leaders and public personalities have to deal with what comes with it. But if they're not under this ministry, within my family of believers, I got to leave that to another. There's a scripture that talks about never judge another man's servant. And so I think I got to leave that to other men in the ministry that they serve with, you know?
Yeah.
But I do agree there should be some accountability.
Yeah, because I think it's not cool. Like, you know, you're a dad, you got a family, you're putting your kids in the public, and then you just, now I got another woman.
Yes.
You know, and I'm
like
keep
you
on.
Would, let's chop it up. I got another one.
I got another podcast.
You got something ain't right.
Well, actually, I'm just getting tossed around because I'm a co-host. You know, I've been a co-host over there. I'm a co-host over here. Maybe one day God bless me. You know,
Oh, that was funny.
That's funny. No, but is that why you got a problem with pastors? Is that why you be beefing with pastors? You disagree with their strategies? Is that why?
He said I have a problem with pastors. Man, hold up. No, I love pastors. I love pastors. I just don't elevate the pastoral role as if it's greater than the evangelist, the prophet, the teacher,
Yeah.
the person with the gift of helps, the person that serves. I don't elevate it like you do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like
What you mean, you?
or like you do.
Oh no, I don't. Absolutely.
I don't look at them but like, man, they're just the special called anointed ones. They're
Yeah.
pastors, they're shepherds of people.
Yeah.
And hopefully they shepherd people well. I
Yeah.
don't think shepherds can really pastor as many people as they have in front of them.
1,000,
Yeah.
300.
I think most of these people are teachers.
Yeah.
And great speakers, some just motivational speakers.
Yeah.
But a shepherd is someone that loves a flock. And
Yeah.
Jesus
Cares for
had
their
these
people.
12 that he shepherded and spent most of his time with. And then he kind of preached, taught to the masses. And so I don't think you can be a pastor to the masses.
So, like, if the pastor doesn't know your name, is he really your pastor? Is that what you're saying, kind of?
I think that may be a fair point.
Right? Like, if the pastor
Because
doesn't talk to you, is that really your
I'm
pastor?
I'm a pastor, and I don't ever want to be called Pastor Trey. It's the people that do. It always trips me out. It sounds funny.
It's apostle
I
tree.
just want to be Trey. And I pastor a group of individuals that I am protecting from the enemy, right? But I'm also modeling what Jesus says, send them out as sheep amongst wolves. So we'll send them on mission trips, wherever, hood, whatever, another city. We were in Rochester, New York, man, free, and so dangerous areas, whatever. So I think that the shepherd title has been hijacked by social media influencers and big stars on YouTube that really are preaching and teaching.
So, do you feel their model's kind of wrong when it comes to ministry?
I think a lot of our models in Christianity is wrong, and I think our model at church can be pretty shaded, although it's not necessarily bad.
Okay.
Like there can be good,
Yeah.
even if we've lost focus on what it should have been.
Okay, that makes sense.
So church, ecclesia, the body of Christ is the people. And when you say church to most people, they're like, oh yeah, I go to this one, or we meet at this time. Well, that's your church service, right? But the church is you. And so oftentimes people have lost touch with what the church is. And they think it's really that time and place, that one time a week. And they are
That's good.
so far off. And it's dangerous because now you're looking to one man to lead you as the church, when really Jesus is your great teacher, your pastor, your shepherd, your high priest that you should be listening to. But you've replaced him with a middleman.
Yeah.
And he wants direct communication with you, give you the commands, and you go do. But you can't go do if you think church is just Sunday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because now you're like, I did my part. Check that box. I'm good for the week. And I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're supposed to be sharing this gospel. You're supposed to be obeying his commands. You're supposed to love God, love one another. You're supposed to love your neighbor. You're supposed to forgive your enemies. You're supposed to pray for those who use you, and that's what gets lost by us saying the church is where the pastor preaches in the pulpit and the choir is there. No, you're not going to find that in Scripture. Nowhere.
There's no choir in Scripture?
There's a lot of people singing and giving and doing praises.
Yeah.
I guess that would be a choir, but I think at the end of the day, we just got to be careful. We need to follow the true shepherd.
Amen.
That's good. Some ain't right, though. Like, you don't even go to church on Sundays. Like, why? Why don't you go? Like,
So I believe in the assembling, so that we can grow spiritually. I believe in having divine truth presented. I believe we should have a time of nurturing relationships and a time to plan for apostolic mission throughout the week. And so that's what we call a 3/3 gathering. We have a 3/3 process. We meet in homes. So our gathering is just not in a public building like a steeple or a cathedral or whatever you worship in. Ours is in homes, in apartments, in apartment clubhouses and places like that. And so I always say this, just so y'all don't get me wrong about the church you go to or churches, is that it's not the container, it's the content.
Yeah.
What's happening in that church? Is it just religious rituals and, going through the motions, or are people getting fed this word from this great teacher and going out and applying it and making disciples and baptizing them and teaching them what they learn? So does your church have disciple makers?
Yeah.
Are they making disciples and baptizing others? Because that's what I want to do. And so I found my place, at least, with doing outreach in the hoods, it's most effective for us to just plant simple churches. And so we're part of church planting movements and simple gatherings. So it might be from 12 to 25, and then that one multiplies to another one. So multiplication rather than addition.
But it's not on Sundays.
It's not on Sundays, so that
Every
could be a
day.
problem
That's
for some.
something ain't right, man.
That
Something ain't right with
that
that.
could be a problem for
That's
some.
the Lord's Day.
Well, that could be another lesson one day. We'll study that one later.
Yeah.
That's
Well, that was good. That's all we got, huh?
No,
Oh,
that's not
oh,
all.
Oh,
we
we
have.
ain't even. We halfway.
Okay.
So my next
Jeez.
question is: can too much ministry be damaging?
To what?
You put too much time into
Yeah.
street ministry or prison
Yeah.
ministry or even like
Yeah.
church. And let's say that it looks like you're always out there, you're always doing these things.
Yeah.
And when do you spend time with your family? Like, when is it time for you to cut it off?
Yeah, me and my wife had this conversation. Maybe 5-6 years into our marriage, that communicate clearly to me when I'm doing too much. If I'm neglecting my household, because she'll see it. She'll feel it. I said, don't wait till it's too late. Don't feel like, oh, well, you got to be out there because everybody's dependent on you. I said,
Yeah.
you tell me the minute and I will shut stuff down.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I think there could be situations where a person is putting their family on the altar of ministry and saying that I'm going to sacrifice my family so that I can be out here saving the world. And I don't think you need to do that. I think there's a healthy balance based upon, now you married that woman. The woman you married, if she ain't about it, then you married the wrong woman. If you're talking about, I'm going to do ministry full time, and she's like, nah, you better go get
Yeah.
a job. I want you to bring home $100,000 a year. I want, you know what I mean? Then you married her. So you need to go on and do what you need to do. But I married a woman that knew my calling in ministry. I made it very clear before I married her that, hey, the Lord Jesus is first. I'm going to follow him to the death of me, and I'm going to put him over you. I'm going to put him first. I said, if I do that and you let me do that, you will have a great marriage. Because loving God first, you're going to get the best love I can give horizontally, right?
Yeah.
And she believed that. And I think she would testify to that if she was sitting in the seat next to me, that because of my love for God, my love for people, and what we do as a ministry, she's behind the scenes praying for me. She's the one I can cry my tears on. She's the one I can vent about all y'all.
Wow. I'm going to text her.
She's the one that I can vent to, and she's not going to look at you funny the next day like, oh,
Yeah.
what'd you do to my husband? All that little nasty, sour attitude we don't need as Christians.
Yeah.
Like, I got the right one. Now, kids are another thing, right? Because kids don't understand that. And so being able to balance ministry, pour into your kids, allow them to see you out here helping people. And what if it affects them? What if they really didn't want that person to move in the house that I moved in the house because we wanted to help them? So there's always a juggling act with that, you know? And one day they'll be able to speak for themselves and say, man, we loved it, or we hated it, or we understood, or we didn't understand. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a man. I could make mistakes. I can be flawed. There's some things they probably will say, I wish he wouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
But I think when they get older, they'll understand, like, okay, Dad really lived his Christianity out. He wasn't about a formality or a tradition. He was about loving people and loving God. Some things we as men will miss the mark. Right now, I don't know if I'm missing the mark. I really don't. My kids have never said you're doing too much. They've kind of always like, that's Dad's work. That's what Dad is driven and passionate about. And I've always supported them. I'm at their sporting event games. They haven't missed an amusement park. They haven't missed a meal. They haven't missed birthday
Yeah.
celebrations. They haven't missed none of that, you know. But, you know, they might be able to find something.
Yeah. Well, they got it
I'm sure they
good.
would.
Bless the Lord. You know, there's
Yeah.
a African multimillionaire. I don't know if you heard the story. I forgot his name, but I love this guy. He gave it all up to adopt kids, and he got to the point he had 200 kids.
Oh, wow.
But he had 8 kids, and his 8 kids hated him because they were in private school. Yeah, they were like balling. They had their own bedroom, and now they had to share.
Understand.
And they hated him, but now they're all in the ministry, and now they're leaders in the ministry, and they've actually it's a crazy story.
There's a great movie out right now.
Millie.
Freedom of Hope.
Millie's his name.
What is the one on sex trafficking that the
Sound of Hope.
So this one's called Sound of.
No, Sound of
that
Hope.
one's Sound of Freedom.
Freedom is
this
Sound of
one's
Hope.
Sound of Hope.
Yeah.
I just watched it
Yep.
the other day. Amazing.
Yeah.
What is that on
movie.
Netflix?
It's on. on.
It's at
Netflix.
the theaters.
It's
Oh,
on
okay.
Netflix.
Oh, it's on Netflix now?
I think. I don't know.
I saw it at the theaters.
I don't know, but it's worth
Sound of
seeing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was like 2
But
months
it's about
ago,
that.
Actually, yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
about yeah. But you know what, Trey? We was gonna let you off the hook. But we got some evidence, man, that got
We got
sent
something
in.
juicy.
And you know, it's something really ain't right? Something ain't right. Like this gonna make it the brand. Something
Oh
ain't
my
right.
Gosh.
Like we was being easy on you at first, you know?
Yeah.
Because we know you've been asked those things before.
And that was, easy answers, but we got evidence that A, you're a liberal,
Oh my
B.
gosh.
you carry white guilt, and C, you have kissed a black man's shoes.
Oh my gosh. Where's the evidence?
Show
I
the
wanna
evidence.
see
Come on,
the
show the
evidence.
evidence. And that's only a few of the clips. But I mean, this is viral on Twitter.
Well, y'all went back.
This is from what I saw, it accumulated over like 100 million views.
Yeah.
And I've never heard you answer up for this. Like, why you
Man,
kissing a black man's shoes?
I would do anything to have a full podcast on that very incident right there. We
Okay.
can't do it here because I know we're kind of a 30-minute type of podcast, but we need to do a full one on that. I was
There you go.
actually, Ruslan said I could go on his show and clear the air on this because it pops up. Every year it pops up.
Yeah.
And someone's saying that, hey, look at these liberals or look at these white guilt. They're, bro, like, let me explain this. Go ahead and take that stuff down. But it went heavily viral, right?
Yes.
I mean, we're talking millions
Worldwide,
and millions. Superstars posted it. Other countries, Russia
Wow.
wanted
I
to
saw
interview me.
didn't even know that.
a news in India posted it. A news channel
Yeah.
in India. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you.
When
Made it to
George
India.
Floyd, when the incident happened with George Floyd, I was just gonna be a bystander, just praying, right?
Yeah.
And then God really put it on my heart. No, you need to step up. You're a white man in a black and brown world, and and I'm like, man, I can't speak for black folks and brown folks, and but I can speak for white folks because I grew up in a black and brown neighborhood, but I never saw what was being exposed during this time. I never really saw the racism or the prejudices because I'm just this white guy just kind of living life trying to make it and fit in. I'm trying to play basketball. I'm trying to rap. I'm doing everything I can, to just be a white guy in a neighborhood where I'm actually a minority, right?
Yeah.
In terms of skin tone. And God really kind of convicted me, like, you need to step up and you need to bring healing, bring hope. That's what you do as a Christian. So first I started and I just listened. And then I started to see these riots popping up, these protests that turned violent. I was like, whoa, like, we can't have that in our city. Like, and the idea for pray test came up. Instead of protest, we're going to pray test. And so I started putting these pray tests together, and I'm going to bring this full circle and make it quick. And one of the neighborhoods, the second neighborhood we went to was 3rd Ward, CUNY Homes, where George Floyd used to live. And we get there to walk around the apartments, and it just starts pouring down. So we're all under this covered basketball court with no basketball goals. And it is pouring down, and we get in a big circle, prayer circle. We're holding hands just like we do, just like we were doing at all the neighborhoods. And after the prayer, I felt like God said, get our black brothers and sisters on one side and everybody else on the other side that wants to join you. And I didn't know what the heck I was going to say. And God just gave me these words that were, evident on the video. It was basically something to the extent of, we understand that the black community is hurting right now, right? They're hurting. Folks on this side are saying, well, we didn't ever have slaves. We didn't ever do nothing. And I'm like, they're hurting. If a rape victim was here and a rape victim was saying she's still hurting, so don't put your hand on my shoulder because that freaks me out when a man does that, I wouldn't put my hand on her shoulder.
Yeah.
And I would say, I'm sorry that you're hurting for what was done to you. I'm sorry that happened to you. Yeah, I know I didn't do it, but I'm sorry that that happened to you. That's called empathy. So I wanted to be empathetic to an experience I didn't have, still don't have today, to a people group that I love that was hurting. And so I basically led a moment where we would ask for forgiveness of the sins of my white forefathers that I don't even know. I never even went back in my heritage to see if they ever owned slaves. Probably not. I come from a pretty poor generation. But we're sorry that that happened to you, your ancestors. We're sorry for the systemic racism you've experienced. We love God and we want to see healing. And if my sorry will bring healing to you, and obviously if you watch that video, people are crying on the other side. What they won't show you in the video is that when we took a knee just to show humility, just like a man would take a knee to a wife and say, yeah, I honor you, I adore you, I want to be in covenant with you. When we took a knee, we didn't kiss no shoes, we didn't scrub no shoes, nothing. It was taking a knee out of solidarity and humility. They took a knee right after us. And that's what they won't show you. They took a knee, and it was spirit-led. They did it on their own. These are people I know.
Yeah.
And they took a knee, and they said, well, I'm trying to recall, but they said something to the extent of, you know, we're sorry for, and the other thing I was saying we were sorry for was a lot of us have been complicit in seeing racism or prejudice jokes or whatever and not calling it out. Just kind of going with it like, oh, that's just the way you do, you know. You call somebody a name that you know hurts them, and everybody's laughing. Well, maybe you shouldn't be laughing. You should be like, hey man, that ain't right. You don't say that to them, you know. Yeah. And anyway, so it was a sincere apology on their side. There was an apology of some sort that they felt led to do, but at the end, it was all tears and hugs and love and reconciliation, and it went viral. And I'm thinking, wow, this is going to be a great thing. And then these knuckleheads, skinheads, racists, are all threatening me.
Man, wow.
Threatening me
like
from
Facebook
people from.
or?
I mean, they're calling me all kinds of names I never even heard. I'm like, what is that? You know, like, but it was that serious that they were calling me these names, not knowing anything about me, my history, or what I've done. Yeah. And so it taught me a lot about racism in America. It really does exist. It really is. Oftentimes it's not who is being accused of it, but there's a racial demographic in this country that I didn't know existed, and I saw it. Yeah. And they weren't wearing white robes, you know.
It was just in their spirit, in their heart.
It's in their spirit and their heart. And evil exists on both sides.
Yeah, and there was hatred actually from both sides, because I saw it from the African American side too.
Yes.
But I'll say like half of it was hatred, but then the other half was love. A lot of people like when they shared it in India, they were like, "There is hope for the world." Yeah, you know, white American.
It was really strange for me.
Praise for Black Americans and stuff like that. It was
strange for me to see Black people like saying this is ridiculous, white guilt, they shouldn't have done that. You don't even know what we were doing. It was a God-given moment. We were Christians. All of us were Christians. Yeah. Like, that's my brother. I would die for him. You think I have a problem taking a knee for him? Yeah. You think I have a problem confessing sin that someone else? Like I said, if it was a rape victim and you had two rape victims and one's like, you can put your hand on my shoulder, Trey. It don't bother me. I'm good. I'm healed. And the other rape victim, you know, says, no, what was done to me by my perpetrator, I freak out when you put your hand on my shoulder. I'm not going to be like, get over it. She got over it. Yeah. Like, that's not empathetic. That's not sensitive. And so if there's Black folks who have experienced some racism, you don't go, oh, that don't happen nowadays. That ain't really going on. And then there's some Black folks over here that are like, man, I ain't never experienced. I'm good in this country. Like, this country's the greatest. Well, just don't put it on them because you don't know what they've been through. And that's kind of how I see it. Like, we need to love because that's what conquers everything. And
well, that's what the Bible tells us to do.
It does.
It tells us in Ephesians to be kind and compassionate. Yeah. And you know, the crazy thing is you probably don't remember this, but I was there. We talked about this.
I was there too. It was when I first got a part of like DTS.
The CUNY home ones?
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah, we did the walk. It was a prayer
we walked
walk.
And then it rained.
Yeah.
And then we did the prayer and then we had our mask. Well, I had my mask on. It was during that time.
Yeah, COVID.
Well, Josh took a knee with you.
Yeah.
Oh, that was crazy. Do you remember that?
No, I didn't realize.
Yeah, we were there. He's in the pictures too.
And it was so funny. I was there with Mo. Me and Mo were there.
Yeah.
And I didn't know you at the moment. So I was just there
Yeah.
to support and
I thought it was
pray.
beautiful.
I did too,
But-
and everybody who was there, even the Marine that was behind me, was like, "Boy, when you took a knee, I had a hard time with that, but God put me down."
Wow.
So it was a spiritual moment, and
Amen.
for y'all to say that, Hispanics,
Yeah.
whites, we were
Yeah.
all in on it together.
Yep.
And I told everybody, "Hey, if you ain't with this, you can leave. You don't have to stay around for this. Respectfully, you can leave."
Yeah.
Nobody left.
Wow. So something is right.
is right.
Yeah, something is right. If you keep
Amen.
commenting on it, and these conservatives, and I consider myself a conservative, that keep posting it and downing it, saying that this is what white guilt looks like. Y'all need to call me to have me on your show. If you really want to do that stuff, bring me on your show.
Or post the second
Yeah.
half
What's
where
that guy
everybody
doing?
bows, or even
Yeah.
the other side bows.
Yeah,
and-
get the content,
Mm,
get the subject matter, get the history of me and Johnny Gentry, who was on the other side. Like,
Yeah.
know that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
That's good.
That is good. So, one last question.
Uh-oh.
It's not, you're out the hot seat now. This is a question from Instagram, and this person asked if Trey is going to bring back the Holy Hip Hop Awards.
Yeah, so we did that for 8 years.
Well, explain what that is, because I don't know what that is.
Man, I wish I could say the years, but we did years ago when I was still doing music and pushing my record label. Award shows would not honor Christian hip hop. Now they do, but they wouldn't back then. So I started the Houston Holy Hip Hop Achievement Awards. Did it for 3 years, and then moved it to say we're gonna cover all of Texas, and we did the Texas Holy Hip Hop Achievement Awards, and then I was like making my exit from owning a record label, being in the music industry, to starting Eyes on Me, and I said, well, the last year we're gonna do the Holy Hip Hop Achievement Awards in general, and we're gonna honor the pioneers of Christian hip hop, and so for those 8 years or 7 years, whatever it was. We had this awesome award show that everybody remembers and everybody loved because it brought us together, and it was high class, you know, red
awesome.
carpet, media, big lights, big sound, and people loved it and looked forward to it. Am I going to bring it back? I highly doubt it because of the demands of Eyes on Me in communities like mission centers and things like that.
Yeah.
But Von Juan picked up doing an award show for a while, and I guess he realized too, it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
you know. And so I don't foresee that in my future.
But now you got the talent show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Which is
got the
something
All
else,
Eyes on
huh?
Us talent show for the youth,
Yeah.
bringing up the future stars. Absolutely, that's what I'll do.
That's
There you
awesome.
go.
Well, are we good?
done.
Are we good?
Yeah,
I
we're
mean, I
good.
guess
Hey,
that's all we had.
We're
So
good
look-
for today.
all right. So let me say this to everybody out there. You see that our first 2 episodes of Something Ain't Right. We went through Jessica. We went through Whiteout, and they just went through me. And that's the kind of conversation we want to have with some of y'all. So if you got issues that you don't want to talk about like we just talked about, then you probably don't want to come on our show. But if you're brave and bold enough to step up to this table, then we'd love to have you. But you got to send us an email. And if your story is something compelling that people want to hear, then we'd love to have you. So contact us, shoot us an email. We want to encourage everybody to like, comment, subscribe, and your comments, we will read them and possibly bring it back on the next show and say something about it. Jessica's also got a question and answer session like you just did right now, where you can hit her on social media and shoot some questions.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to just many, many more episodes. So thank y'all for tuning in, and we are out.
Something ain't right.
What?